I'ma tell you what I done. I'ma tell you what I done. Oh, oh, let me tell you, I dropped to my knees and I lift my hands to the man upstairs. I surrendered all my problems, I surrendered all my cares. He released my heavy shackles and my burdens he did bear. 'Cause I dropped, I dropped, I dropped, I dropped. Said I dropped in prayer, and he met me there, met me there, met me there. Oh, do you wanna know just how I made it? Oh, I do. And do you wanna know just how I can take it? Well, I'ma tell you what I done. I'ma tell you what I done. Whoa, whoa, let me tell you, I dropped to my knees and I lift my hands to the man upstairs. I surrendered all my problems, I surrendered all my cares. He released my heavy shackles and my burdens he did bear. 'Cause I dropped, I dropped, I dropped, I dropped in prayer. And he met me there, met me there, met me there. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh. Hey. I dropped all my burdens and my pain. I dropped all my shackles and my chains. I drop to your feet I bring. I drop, yeah. I drop all my burdens and my pain. I drop all my shackles and my chains. I drop to your feet I bring. I drop, yeah. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop all of your defeat. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop when your ends don't meet. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop when life you just can't beat. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop, oh, your misery. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop, lay it at his feet. I drop, I drop, I drop, I drop, I drop, oh yeah, I drop. Oh, let me tell you, I drop to my knees and I lift my hands to the man upstairs. I surrender all my problems, I surrender all my cares. He released my heavy shackles and my burdens he did bear. 'Cause I dropped, I dropped, oh, yeah. I dropped in prayer, yeah. And he met me there, met me there, met me right. Dropped in prayer, and he met me there, met me there, met me there. Dropped in prayer, drop, 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 drop. We all need inspiration, positivity, encouragement, and I know where to get it. Let's rise with the set. Come on, come on, rise. Let's go higher, higher, higher. Rise with the set. Rise with the set. Well, well. All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are y'all doing out there today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing out there? Welcome to another Rise with Lisette live talk show. I am so excited today. I'm just happy today because I get a chance to have a conversation with my boss. All right, all right, with my dear friend Keoni Stevens, and this is so exciting today. I just want you guys to go ahead on and share this today. Let somebody know that we'll have a great time on Rise with Lisette today, and just make sure you tag somebody to this and share it with your friends and even your enemies or your enemites, whatever they call it, enemites. Share it with your enemites, but whatever. Go ahead on and share the show, all right? Because we want to make sure you get up there and do some live chatting. So, and just be a part of the conversation. And guess what? My co-host today is the one and the only Clarence Cornegay, my husband. So I'm all excited about that today, that we actually got a wonderful co-host. Come on, sweetie. My husband, he's going to help me co-host this show.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
We're all excited about that.
No
And,
doubt.
the title of the show today is The Man Behind the Work. I mean, we see
I like it.
Keoni do a lot of things. He's my producer, Keoni, and so we're just excited about this. But first, I want to ask you this: how was your weekend? How was your weekend?
Okay, the weekend was great.
What did
I spent it with you.
right? And you know what? We spent it with family because we had a family reunion,
Yeah.
and I'm telling family reunion. It was just pretty awesome. Because sometimes it's good to see family. We got some family members traveling back that supposed to be listening to the show today. So we want you guys to know we love you, and it's so good to have family. We need family today. All right,
Enjoy family because tomorrow is not promised.
that's
We
right.
never know when it'll be the last time we see each other.
That's true. And that's what's so special. And I thank God for the Keone production family. And
Yes.
we're all excited about having a conversation with Keone this morning. So we're getting ready to bring him on. We're gonna bring him on. Should we bring him on now?
Might as well.
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 Oh my goodness. We're getting ready to bring the one and the only
Uh,
Keoni Stevens. Come on. Where's that? Where's
yeah.
Yeah.
that clap? Where's it? Come on. Clap it out.
Oh, you like to hear the clap. Hold on.
I love
Hold
the
on. Hold
clap.
on.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to clap.
I'm telling you, I have always wanted to have a conversation with Keoni because he's such a very complex and very interesting being. And I'm telling you, he's a beautiful friend. I mean, he's complicated because he's like, it's kind of funny. He reminds me of the wizard behind the in Oz behind the curtain. He was masterminding all that stuff in that whole town,
How about
and
that?
they didn't even know it.
Right?
And it's like you are the man behind all this work, and we're excited to find a little bit more about you, some information about you. You know
Well,
what? Go ahead. Hmm.
I said, well, I've been accused of worse things before, so I'll go ahead and take that. Um, I'm looking at the video quality. Oh my God, it's so terrible. I'm actually traveling, so I'm in a different space, so the internet is not great. Things so terrible, but we'll survive.
We'll survive.
We always do, don't we? We're going to survive. It's interesting to me. When I first met Keani, I was answering a search on Instagram about modeling and acting, and I said, I want to try something different. Try a little something different. So I ventured out on my own, and it's kind of funny because when I actually met you, well, we actually had a conversation. Well, I met you on the audition, but I was coming in with my bags. You remember I was coming in with my and knowing me, I always take stuff to the extreme. So we was having a photo shoot,
No.
and they told us to bring maybe like 3 to 4 different, outfits we could change into. So I had this whole luggage, this whole bag full of stuff, and I knew you wanted to laugh, but you didn't know whether I would get offended, which I wouldn't have because I love to laugh. And you said, you said, where you going? You got all this luggage and stuff like. And I said, oh, he said, you think you're gonna need all that or something like that? I said, you never know. Like that.
Well,
It was so funny. What a clown. I was such a clown. But we just love you, Keoni. So that's how we met, and it was just so funny. And I was just so intrigued by all the things that you do, just watching you, you know, showing the models and telling us what to do. And he actually said I was a model. Isn't that
how
something?
about that?
Plus size
Of course,
model,
of course.
but
Well.
it's just awesome, But go ahead on, Keoni. I'm gonna go ahead on.
Oh, it's funny you tell that story because it did look like you were packed for a 2 week vacation. And I did not know where you were going. You had about 9,000 outfits that I had to work through, and we told you to bring four. So yeah, it was a very fun time.
It was. It
That's
was fun.
normal for her.
That's normal. So even when we
Yes.
go, when we travel,
She always overpack.
overpack always. You
No
never
doubt.
know. What you might need is this crazy stuff, but in my mind. But Keoni, how did all of this begin, Keoni? How did you begin on your journey to where you are now? Because everybody has a journey.
For sure.
You know that everybody has a journey. That was a little bit about how I got to know you. That was like my journey. So how did you
Get started.
get started? How did all this wonderful creation
Come about.
come about, Keone?
I can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's so bad over here. It's like it would happen this week, right? They're doing things to my apartment. There's hammering and sawing and all this going on, so I had to move into the clubhouse. Um, but anywho, I was serving in the army, and I think it's like my 16th year in. I said, I really want to get into the acting that I've been wanting to do since I was a teenager. Of course, when I was a teenager, want to do it. You get your parents go, you got to get a real job, because they don't know the implications of that, and it's not that they don't want you to pursue that. I think they see it as it's some fun thing you can try to do, but what are you realistically going to do? So of
Right.
course I steered away from that for so long. Um, but then I ended up joining Avanti Model and Talent Management. I ended up doing a showcase, getting a contract with an agent. Did my first two things. I did two little episodes of the TV show, The Six. It was background, nothing big, but that led to working and networking with people and getting into bigger projects like the movie What Lies Beyond, fitting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the movie Circles will be coming out in February of next year, and I'm a lead role in that movie. But it got me back to coaching.
That's
I
great.
wanted to coach because I always loved coaching people. So I started coaching actors and models. That's how I ran into you. So that's been a pretty good uh, uh, venture. But I also was seeing people who had potential and talent, but not everybody makes it, right? I mean,
Right.
that's just the thing. Everybody make it. So I said, what can I do to like show people uh, these wonderful people that I've met that don't have an outlet to do it, or they may want to make a YouTube channel, but they don't feel like going through all the ins and outs and details of doing that on their own. I said,
Now
well, heck, I'll do it.
hold it right there. You said you want to help people that
Mhm.
want to make it, but doesn't look like they're going to make it or some contra. but you want to reach out to them. But that's within itself, that's amazing. Some people don't even care, whether you when you make it or not, but I'm saying I don't care when you make it,
That's
but
true.
you're actually concerned. I mean, wow. I mean, that's pretty awesome that you're
Yeah,
concerned.
well, sometimes it's just a placeholder until they make it. Like everybody I work with, I'm not saying isn't going to make it, but it's like, well, let's do something while you're still working on making it.
And that's so necessary, because sometimes we think that someone is or somebody or is going to come for us, but you got to come for yourself, and that's what the Lord was allowing me to remind me, was that you have to work on you in the long haul. You got to, in the present time, go ahead on and do what you can do now. You just don't sit and wait. you know be working. Do something.
So there's help for
Put it
you.
out there. You got a phone. Put it out there. I mean, put out what you do.
So there's help for
Well,
you,
yeah,
but nobody's gonna do it for you.
Right. I thought you
well, yeah.
said me. What
No,
you trying to say? I'm
no,
crazy or
there's help.
something?
No, there's help for people, but nobody's gonna do it for you.
Hey, yeah, don't get on Clarence on live. You know I'm a Clarence defender. Okay, even though I called him Terrence this morning. Um, yeah, you can ask God to win the lottery all you want, and He'll say yes. But if you never go buy a ticket, it ain't gonna happen.
Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Exactly.
I see how you put into the models and actors and all this talent. You got to be working. Don't just wait, but do something. So I think this
Well,
is awesome.
I try to go, and if I don't know if you remember me telling you this when I met you, I try to teach so many other things besides my biggest motto, and every one of my talent will tell you this. I tell them, if the only thing I teach you is acting and modeling, I've taught you nothing. Okay, I've taught you absolutely nothing. My process is whether you get better or not at the tools that I give you, are you the same person that you were when you started than when you
Wow.
ended the process with me? Because that's my goal. I want you to be a different person. I don't want you to be the same person that was in the same humdrum, the doldrums, or whatever you want to call it, in that same cycle. Have you changed what you do? I think Denzel, somebody probably said it before him, but one of my favorite Denzel quotes is, if you want something different, you have to do something different.
That's
I
good.
love that. Well, one thing
Yeah.
I noticed is you work with people of all ages.
hmm
Mhm.
I wonder who inspired you as a child. I see the children, you inspire them. Who inspired you when you were a child?
My grandfather, because my grandfather was never while he was alive got to he was 60, I think 68, getting close to 70. And he never stopped evolving. He was a very forward thinking 68-year-old. He wasn't set in his ways. He was never, damn these kids in this generation. He was always taught me to keep evolving, and he kept refreshing his thinking. He was okay with saying, you know what, I like things when they were better a certain way, but he never complained about it.
Right.
He's the one that taught me all these sayings that I say that it's every generation's job to say this generation is a disaster. Because that's what was told to him. And
Right.
that's what he said to his kids. And that's what his kids said to their kids. They're all a disaster, right? You and your hippies and your disco and it's always something. We got to find the
Right.
next thing. These kids today are going to grow up and say the same thing. These
For
kids are
sure.
out of control. It's just the nature of the
Sure.
thing, right? And it's also amazes me that no matter if you're 19 or 80, you have something in common. And that's the thing that we miss. That there are a lot of things that we have in common. Lisette started on that show, what, My Perspective,
Yes.
where you had 60, 50, 30, and,
Mhm.
and teenagers.
Yes. All ages. And it was
hmm
awesome because it was being represented on the show.
For sure.
And I loved it. I love getting the perspective of all the different age categories, and sometimes it was no different, and a lot of times it was. It was really good. But I have a question. It's like, it's just amazes me what you do and your drive to get it done just really amazes me. Why? How did you come up with how? What was your process to come
Mhm.
up with this production company?
Hold on. Give me 1 second, Lisette. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay. I'm switching my internet over. So
Okay.
give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if this works better. Okay. I think this is gonna work better. I'm gonna use my hotspot. There we go. All right, go ahead. Re-ask that question.
Yes. What was your process for um,
Oh,
coming up with this beautiful production company?
well, so that's funny. I wanted to do two YouTube shows. So my biggest YouTube influences, I have four that got me into wanting to do YouTube. One was called Schrodinger's Cat. One was called Natalie Lawyer Chick, which is an African American woman who's a lawyer who has a great channel.
Hmm.
Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tatman Taylor, they play video games. So watching them, I wanted to do my own YouTube, and I said I want to do two types of shows. That was the My Perspective
Okay.
show that you were on. And so I did an open casting call with, and I just invited up everybody I know, right? So 70 people were on that conference call. And I said, well, I didn't expect all of you to show up. I only have two shows. Let's see what I can do. And they said, well, why don't we just make more shows? I'm like, well, I didn't come up with more shows. I only came up with the two. And I don't have money to pay anybody. They said, well, don't worry about it. We'll do it anyway because it's for you. And that's what got me a little emotional. And then that's how we came up with all of the different shows that we have today that's on our screen right now.
Wow, look at all those shows.
Yes.
My goodness, all those cello shows. Oh my God, you got Pretty Smart. It was My Perspective.
Big
It
Henry.
was Henry.
Rise with
Yes,
Lisette.
Rise with Lisette. So many shows. I mean,
That's
Big
awesome.
Henry, all kinds of shows. Just
Yeah,
beautiful
some of
shows.
them. Yep, some of them are gone now, but they're cool. They're still up, and then we're gonna keep trying to make new ones. I've got a music centered show where we have Willard, who's 54, I think, and OJ, who's 22, and they're both talking about music. So again,
Okay,
spanning the time gap, right?
that's awesome. That's look at that. You're continuing growing, and I have how do you I mean you yourself, I know you have a team. How big is your team?
Yeah, it's not big.
That's
I
what
have one.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
I have an assistant. I have a programmer. I have an editor, and I have me.
Hmm.
That's the point I was trying to make. That's why I said you're like a one man show to some degree. It's powerful. I mean, the drive that you have in making sure all these shows you have to make sure all these shows are coming on, that you're there. It's just
Well, you know what the hardest part
amazing.
is? Not to talk about money, but the hardest part is so we're coming up close on 3 years. We're getting closer to the goal to make actual money because for this entire time, how everything is paid is out of my pocket. So that's been the hardest part because at some point you're like, on a month where I might spend, $2,100, I'm like, oh, if I could have just had that $2,100 still in my pocket
Mhm.
instead of, but then I try to rationalize with, I probably would have spent it on something else,
Okay.
you know.
That's
Okay.
it's
Well, most people that you see that are gifted,
Mhm.
they have family members that are gifted also. Do you have family members that are gifted? Like a
Yeah, but
mom,
my family was gifted in, my family was, did like a who?
like a mom, dad, sisters,
Okay,
brothers.
you started off with mom. You're about to make this interview turn for the worse. Uh, thank you for starting with the trauma section of my
That's all
life.
right.
No, but my family was gifted in athletics. That's what we were best at. My sister was an all state, just ridiculously talented volleyball and softball player. My dad basketball. My all of my uncles basketball and football. Um, so there's a couple of high schools in Miami that some of my relatives went to where there's a mural of them painted, but the name's not there. And it's funny because when I see it, I know exactly who it is.
And
So
that's
I know the story behind the painting,
Right.
wow.
where a lot of people don't because it was so long ago.
That's
Wow.
amazing. That is really
Wow.
amazing. It's interesting how that I believe that everyone that has a calling on their life or that really has a vision or a purpose in life, um, they have to. There's always something that they go through that can either keep them from doing their vision or either push them even harder into their vision. With me,
Well,
mhm,
the hardest thing was the faith part. And Lisette, you know better than anything else. I don't consider myself religious. You already know this. I believe in God. I have my own relationship that I chose to have with God, not based on how biblical is the term, because it's a lot of turmoil in there for me. It's a lot of turmoil, and people will say to me where when I'm not exactly fond of the Bible or the way certain aspects of Christianity tells me to run, and they get into lecture mode or chastise me, and it's like, you don't understand. It doesn't matter what you or somebody standing in a pulpit tells me. I talk to the Lord directly,
there we go.
and I take all my advice and guidance from him.
That's
So no
powerful.
matter what you say, the deacons say, the bishops say, the ushers say, or Aunt Peaches, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do because I've gotten approval to do it
There you
from the
go.
highest power.
And
And
that's
that's
what
where
you're
I
supposed to
disconnect.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a
So
lot
that
of
was the
times,
hardest part. The
Yes.
reaching and trying to draw on faith was always the hardest part for me throughout any journey that I've ever had.
because oftentimes people lead people to believe that they have access to God, but you don't, and
Yeah.
that can traumatize people,
It can.
and that's why people put people so high on pedestals a lot of times because you
Yeah.
have access to God. So if I want to talk to God, I got to go to you.
But you
Why?
don't.
I should have access to God. I should have a communication, a relationship with God.
I agree. And we do. When you know what? It's a personal relationship.
Exactly.
That's what's so special about
Yeah.
Christianity. Supposed to be. I'm not talking about wannabe Christianity, but I'm talking about really Christianity like you're talking about. It's a personal relationship.
Exactly.
Well,
So
yeah,
you don't have to go through other people.
that's why it's easy for me to deal with subjects. Like Lisette, unbeknownst to everybody, me and her had phone calls before and after when we did two interviews. One with the openly gay pastor Ray Jordan in Dallas, Texas,
Hmm.
and one with Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, because we have those beliefs and what we've told about those beliefs. But me having a direct um, guidance is what allowed me to be able to be open to build relationships with like a Stacy or Ray. I would have never met those wonderful people if my mind wasn't
For sure.
open. And that's again going back to what Clarence
Agree.
asked me. That's definitely from my grandfather. I get that from him.
That's awesome.
It is.
Open
Mhm.
mindedness.
Hmm. We got to be open minded.
You gotta, because no matter if you're Christian, Buddhist, Baptist, Hindu, Presbyterian, Mormon, we all still have to share the same space.
Come
For
on now.
sure. We got it. We got to get along. We're all on this ship together.
I tell people sometimes stop believing that we're the only ones going to heaven
Exactly.
and nobody can make it but us.
Come on.
How do we get to be so special that we're the only ones that's going to heaven? Everybody else is wrong except us.
Wow.
There's something wrong with that mentality.
And before I would like to say, I would like to thank Dennis Parker and Antonio Gardner on the live chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
And don't forget, you can ask some questions and be a part of the conversation. All right. this is really amazing because it's powerful to have a dream and then to walk that dream and then to
Mhm.
get people to you show your dream to people and they see the dream or the vision and they also want to work with you on the dream and the visions because when you go to the modeling school and you watch him work, watch Keoni do what he do. I mean, I mean, he's smooth with it.
You would think
Hey, I taught Lisette how to walk a runway. Hey, who would have thought?
he,
For sure.
he does it as if he's had like 20, 30 years of training.
I know.
And it's funny because I only when I met Lisette, I was only 4.5 years in.
Wow.
But
Well,
you have to have that. I was always a better coach than I was. It's funny. My wrestling coach in high school, he used to say, "When you graduate, you're going to coach the middle school." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're a better coach than you are a wrestler." And it was funny. I felt so insulted. And then in the army, which is so backwards, my supervisor would always say, "My supervisor. I'm so civilianized now."
that's okay.
My my squad leader would always say, "I need to promote you. You're so much better when I put you in charge of stuff, but as a soldier, you stink." Because I don't know. It's like when I'm in charge of something, of flip switches. When I'm an employee or a private or a team member, I have sort of a laziness that grows in me. But once I reach that supervisor level, or once I've been put in charge of something, like a switch flips. And thank you for reading the chat, Lisette, because for some reason I think it's because of where I am. Um, Not all of the YouTube comments are coming in. So thank you for catching Antonio that says that was powerful. If it's how I look at my ministry. Well, thank you. You know what? I love that. Hey, there's a lot of old pastors that don't like new pastors.
That's
True,
true.
true.
They don't
That's
like,
true.
not all, not all, because we've gotten away from everything being hellfire and brimstone,
Uh-huh.
right?
Hmm.
That's
God
right.
is always angry.
That's
Hmm.
He's
right.
always gonna, you know, do things to you, and it's like, well, you're making me not like him.
Right.
We got away from the love factor. He's a
Yeah.
God of love. He loves, not the God of hate, but love. He's a God of love. He loves people.
See, if we don't promote God as a God of love,
Mhm.
then we don't have to love.
There we
Mhm.
go. We
It's
be
like when I
angry.
hear a pastor going off against like the LGBT community or
Right.
something.
Hmm.
Right.
And I'm like, in one breath, you're saying Jesus preaches love, and Jesus says this, and Jesus says that, and then in the other hand, you're bastardizing, damning everybody else.
Right.
Right.
And it's like that's not what Jesus said. So I'm confused here. We want to say what would Jesus do, but we always do the opposite.
Exactly.
I know
Exactly.
I'm not going to do what Jesus do. I'm accountable.
He wants you to do what you do with him in you. How about
How
that?
about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
How about that?
How about that?
Do what you do
Accountable.
With him in you.
with him
Yeah.
in you.
I
Yeah.
remember, look, I always tell the joke. I asked God, I said, God, should I really do this? And God said to me, why are you asking me? You're going to do it anyway.
You know, I said that for years.
You don't do it
We're
away.
gonna do what we want to do anyhow. So we say, Lord, Lord, is what you a job? Lord, should I take that job? But do you want the job or don't you? I mean, come on now.
The
Interesting.
Lord said,
Right.
why are you asking me if you should take the job? You keep praying and asking me how you're going to pay your light bills. By that job, you're asking me if you're going
I'm just saying, it's not complicated.
Kiani, what are your challenges in your
to.
company?
In production or in life?
In your company,
In production.
in production.
Oh, ugh. Well, the challenges is when you're doing everything by yourself, plus still doing the other stuff that I do. Sometimes things happen not at the appropriate time. Like there's so many things behind the scenes that I still have not done, connected. There's fees that come with businesses. There's licensing. There's so much stuff I'm behind on. But it's like if I dedicate more time to that, That's less videos putting out. So I feel like once we get to this, and we're 200 hours away, folks, out
Oh,
there.
awesome.
We are 200
Awesome.
hours away to finally having the ability to earn an income on this channel. So
Awesome.
watch this month.
All
Well,
right.
this
This
month's
is
almost
good.
over.
So
Keep
y'all
watching.
hear that?
Watch those old shows.
Y'all hear that out there? I think we have like 800 and is it 867 or how many subscribers we have now on
870.
870.
We've already reached the first subscriber benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached the number of videos benchmark. The only thing we haven't reached is the 3,000 hours of watch content in a year. We're at 2,817. And if you would have told me 2,817 hours of my content was going to be watched 2 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, okay.
Well, we're almost there. And you know what? Not only that, not only are we almost there, is that we are encouraging some of you business owners out there that would like to come aboard and help us out.
Mhm.
Hey, come on and do
Yeah,
that.
I
And don't
need
forget
some
your subscribers over there. The ones on the
training.
chat, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, you know.
And it's so funny because you say that because one of the big successes, uh, your buddy Mark, Long Island Hustlers is our number one watch show on the channel, and number two for the last year has been Rise with Lisette, and your former co-host Mark them knocked you out of the number two spot
I
down to
saw
number
that.
three.
But you know, it's there's no envy in there. I'm proud of him, but we got to do better.
It's
I
hard. To,
mean,
it's hard to compete when you're talking about Michael Jordan's dad and different stuff
for
like that.
sure.
And
I
a lot of,
mean,
Well,
I'm
he's
proud
talking.
of him.
The biggest thing, Terrence, is he's talking about crime, and it's
right.
like you already know bad things always get more views than who wants to hear all this positive stuff. We can
Exactly.
go watch death, murder, and
Come on.
and bad things happening out there.
I've always had that little desire to try to solve crimes and stuff like that. You know, I like his show. Yeah, I enjoy
Sure.
his show. I love
For
it.
sure.
She's
You
still
know,
trying to find out who messed up her food at the restaurant. What do you mean solving crimes?
and I'm telling you, there's some crazy stuff out there. I don't even want to eat out there, really. You
Well,
know,
So,
it was hard to hear. I've had everybody's life is a book, right? I
right.
think everybody and everyone watching, if you really sat down and you were honest with yourself, you could write a book. If you just went true honesty, almost everyone here could have a great movie. We just don't have a name that they would make that movie about because we're not famous. But my life story is just something you can't make up.
I want to hear it. Give us some examples of your life story. Tell us some.
Well, you know what? I'll give you a snapshot from beginning to end because each element, if I broke it down, that's like an hour show within itself,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you're talking about a person, and this is not saying, that I've made it to the mountaintop. I live in an apartment and I drive a Jeep. I'm not living in Beverly Hills, right?
Right.
You're talking about a guy who was born and raised in Goose, Florida, in a place called a village at that time, which was heavily drug infested, a lot of crime. It was an all black neighborhood, but my mom used my grandma's address to send me to the schools near her, which were predominantly Caucasian. So you're talking about me having a battle on two fronts, right? Where you live, you talk different, and where you go, you look different. So
Mm-hmm.
and I had no help navigating that as a kid.
Wow.
Anytime I acted out because I'm trying to navigate that, back then your parents they just spanked you. That was the solution to everything. I'll fix it by spanking him. Which if you constantly have to spank your kid over the same thing, that kind of should tell you it's not working,
Not
right?
working.
That's true.
We need to switch here. Um, but I want to say because now as I get older, it gets foggy. At about 6 year old, I had a female babysitter, which is a friend of the family that used to abuse me by making me drink her urine if I wanted to do anything. And then when I told my mother I was spanked for coming up having such a wild imagination. So then, of course, 3 or 4 years later, when I had a male cousin that was doing things to me that weren't appropriate, I didn't tell anybody because I remember the last time that happened, I got a whooping.
Right.
Or, playing at the core league, being one of the only like five black kids there. I remember, and this is the one that is the most distinctive in my mind. I remember playing with one of my friends who was white. We were playing, and another white kid came around the corner and said, "You can't play with him. He's dirty. That's why his skin color is like his skin looks like that." And he pushed
Mm,
me,
mm, mm, mm.
so I pushed him back. Well, the big racist white coach came around the corner and said, "Don't you touch him," inward, and punched me in the chest. Grown
Oh
man
no.
punched me in the chest, picked me up by my neck basically, and walked me to my mom. Of course, when he turned the corner, it went from neck to shirt, right? He pulls me up to my mom and he says, "Your son's over here fighting again. If he can't stop acting out, he's going to get kicked out." So, what do I get? Clarence, what do you think I got?
You got a whooping.
I got a
Oh
whooping.
my
No
God.
conversation about why you did it, what's going
Right.
on, because that's how you handled it back in the day. You just
Right.
whooped them, right? Um, Shortly after that, I had a psychiatrist tell my mom that I need to be put in special care because I will never be a productive member of society.
Come on.
Oh
Can
my
Come
can
on.
God.
you imagine how
Oh my
much
God.
I would never be a productive member of society? And then the thing that got me to turn it around, because I moved out basically at 14, the thing that got me to turn it around was the day I got kicked out of middle school.
Hmm.
I was bullying a kid because I was getting bullied. So the
Hmm.
bully was I was bullying because I was getting bullied.
Hmm.
And this kid spit on me.
Oh no.
And so, well,
Spit
no,
on you.
no, I was messing with him,
Right.
I was messing with him. I took my frustrations out on him. And so he pushed me. And so I fought him. I got kicked out of school and I got sent to the school in my neighborhood, which was about 86% African American. My mom came to me. She said, "Your teacher says you're a genius," because now I'm a straight A student. And I
Ah.
said, "Mom, they're teaching me in sixth grade at the predominantly black school what I learned at the predominantly white school in the fourth grade."
Right.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Ain't that something?
And that was my
Mm.
first indication of we're not learning on the same level. We're not even being taught on the same level.
That's right.
And thank God for my aunt who was a teacher, helped and worked. She made a deal with the school. It was a sucky deal, but we had to take it. They're like, "We'll put him in special classes for a year and see how he does."
Mm.
Of course, I did great. It's special classes. Everything was, I'm
Right.
sitting in class, and this is not to make fun of anyone who's handicapped. I'm sitting in class with people who are eating their boogers, and banging their
No.
head on the wall.
Right.
You know, my aunt, she worked really hard to get me out of there as fast as possible because, her belief was when you put someone in that environment, they end up acting like what's around them.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so I moved out kind of at 14, lived kind of between grandfather's house, best friend's house, my best friend's sister's house. What we would do is we would never overstay our welcome. We'd stay at one place for like a week. And before they'd say, "Hey, something's not right. Y'all have been here too long," we'll move to the next one. And we kind of just kept uh, rotating, right?
Mm-mm.
Um,
Mm-mm.
then I ended up joining the Army, which I never thought would happen. 1997. Whoo, sounds like 100 years ago. Ended up joining the Army, deployed two or three times, went through that process, and then ended up here with Lisette, and then learning how to deal with PTSD, night terrors, insomnia, anxiety. I used to have a closet that looked like a CVS, wall.
Wow.
And that's just the small. That's just the snapshots. There's way more than that.
Right.
And not to say it as a woes me thing, just for people out there, everybody has a story. There are some people that have gone through things that when they tell you, you instantly want to cry.
Yes.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
how did you build the strength to get there? And that's why I'm always so adamant when everybody, like, not to get political, but we're talking about putting the Ten Commandments and prayer back in public school, right? And my biggest belief is if you want your kid to learn that way, there's plenty of Catholic, Christian private schools that you can muster up the money to send
That's
them to.
true.
That's
Because
right.
what we're doing is you're alienating everyone else
Yes.
in that public school who's not. And everyone got to their happiness in life a different way. Everyone didn't take the Christian route.
Right.
Everyone didn't take, the same route as everybody else. So finding out so many people have got to their happy place in so many different ways, whether we want to attribute it to God from us, then that's our prerogative.
Right.
But I never want to take away from someone's I don't know the word overcomings. I'm going to make up a word.
That's
That's cool. And you know
that's
what?
awesome.
Even God does not force himself on you. He don't
That's
want you to,
right.
all right, here, you're going to do it. Like I tell you, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a choice. He wants you to choose him on your own.
So did you join the military to get away? Was that why you joined the military?
No, my friends, my jerk friends, we decided that we were all going to join on the buddy system that they had and all join the army. So I went in, since I got off first, I was supposed to go in and give all their names. So I went in, signed up, gave them all their names,
And they didn't
come
join.
back the next day, we had a meeting. It's like, all right, guys, I went, I joined the army, I put my name down, army recruiter, I gave them your names, and two of them were like, well, we went in there, and then the Air Force guy saw us, and we both ended up joining the Air Force. So two joined the Air Force, one joined the Marines, and one
Wow.
joined the Navy, and I
Wow.
joined the Army. So all five of us, except for two, went to different directions. And I think me and the Navy, Walter in the Navy, spent the longest time in the service. The rest of them were out between 3 and 5 years.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
I was going to join the Navy and I couldn't swim. Still can't swim. I don't
I can't either.
don't ask me what I was thinking. I don't know.
That is funny.
That is
I,
funny.
I don't know.
I
So
think you're being cute in that
one
outfit.
question: how do you stay humble?
I don't.
I like that.
What is humble? Humble. You know what? You know what humble does? It keeps you out of the limelight. I don't want to be humble.
Right?
Um, it's I guess it's humble. Humble's just a weird word for me because humble always feels like you're never to take credit or never bask in your. It's almost like, and this is the most religious I've ever talked. It's almost like you're not allowed to congratulate yourself, right? You're not
Right.
allowed to enjoy the fruits of your labor,
Right.
right? And I'm humble to the fact that I know I'm not at the top of the mountain. I know there's so many things that I could do better. I know personally I'm so ridiculously flawed, which hey, it is what it is. Um, but when I get time to shine, I shine. I'm not gonna say I'm just totally humble, you know.
And we got to encourage
Is that
ourselves,
is that
don't
not
we?
all? Is that not awesome?
That is awesome. Come on,
That's
man.
what we're
Yes,
supposed to
there's
do.
that. Listen. You only live once.
That's right.
I don't care
Yeah,
who's trying to tell me which way to live. What I'm not going to do is see it on this earth the one time I get and be bored to death and
you get one shot.
miserable.
Come
I'm,
on.
I'm going to try to do what's going to make me happy. If I'm told what's going to make me happy is not appropriate, well, for this moment, it's just going to have to be not appropriate.
Inappropriate.
Because this is your shot. That you get one shot. While you're on this planet. It's amazing to me how sometimes my husband and I was talking about this last night. How you sometimes can spend your whole life doing what someone else making their life better,
Hmm.
but you're not doing anything for yourself. And when you try to do something for yourself or attempt to, then they're going to have all these wonderful things to tell you, or not necessarily wonderful things, but they're going to have all these things to say why you shouldn't try to help yourself and be good to yourself. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
Yes.
but
know, you know,
and it's funny because the people who are at the top of the mountain, let's say just financial wise, they get to do all of these things, but we tell people who aren't don't. Like what?
Right.
Because nothing is inherently evil. You have to make it evil.
Right.
that person, right? I always annoyed when I hear money's the root of all evil.
Come on.
Money
It's
will
the
not make
love
you
of
happy.
money, not the
And
money.
well, I have a love of money, and I'm telling you, in my old Negro voice, every time I get some money, I shows is happy. Ain't nothing
I
like
am
being able
too.
to pay your bills and splurge on something, okay?
I feel
Uh,
you. I feel you.
I have never been upset when I stepped in my friend's Maserati. I tell you that.
So you've heard the expression more money, more problems?
More money, more problems. That's for people who don't know how to cut people off when they make more money.
Okay.
You know, that's why it's more problems. If I start making millions of dollars and Uncle Jesse, who I've never heard of since I was 3, comes out of the woodworks, whose fault is it that I let Uncle Jesse back in and now I'm trying to solve his problems?
It's
That's
your,
your
Is that
problem.
Uncle
That's right.
Jesse's fault or is
Nope.
that my fault?
it's
That's
your
your
fault.
Is
problem.
it my, I worked in a restaurant for a year. Does that mean if I get a whole bunch of money, I need to try to own a restaurant, not
No.
knowing what I'm
No,
doing? So it's
No.
like you get more money and you create more problems. So you made $1 million. It doesn't mean you need $1 million house.
That's
Now
right.
exactly,
you can get that $300,000 house that you couldn't afford that you can afford now, and now you have all this extra money.
Come on.
So
exactly.
more money, more problems is usually on the person.
Come on
That's
now.
true.
Come on now.
You
It's
know,
true.
you get
Well,
more money. You know what you do? You hire a financial advisor. If you didn't ever have money, if you grew up poor like I did, I have a financial advisor. Why the hell am I trying to figure it out?
if
Right.
My
you don't
parents
know how
didn't
to
know what to
figure it
do
out,
with
let
money.
somebody else do it.
They're experts at it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, you know what? There's nothing wrong with having money, but do money got you?
Right.
yeah,
And and if you know how to wheel and deal your money and have people to help you with your money, you know what to do. It's a
yeah,
great thing not to have to worry about how you're gonna pay a bill.
Come on now.
yeah.
That means a
Because
lot.
Lisette, when you ready to go shopping, you don't want to hear we ain't got it.
We don't.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
my beautiful husband makes sure
Wow.
he does. Hey, this is
Yeah,
this is
that
a
can be tough.
man here. He makes sure that
Hmm. Hmm.
I enjoy
All
my
right.
life, and I love you, baby.
Okay. Enough
All
about
right, y'all have flirted enough on my
Okay.
episode.
Yeah, but
Ken don't need no more brothers. Let's keep it
that's
moving.
That's
that's for
right.
sure. That's for sure.
So are you were referring a few minutes ago about how many subscribers and how many shows and everything. So are you close to like doing commercials yet?
So, well, actually, not commercials. We're working actually on events. I don't want to give the events out because people steal your ideas.
Right.
But
True.
we
Right.
have 2 giant events that we're working on that are international next year. That's gonna net a lot. And now we're working on 2 short films.
That's
Awesome.
So
awesome.
we've been doing the talk show thing. So when we started, everything was talk shows, talk shows, talk shows, which has been great. And now we've branched off. Now we've got Mark doing the crime. We've got Dwayne and Stacy's doing horoscope and tarot. And then we're working on 2 films. So we're just making sure we get into different avenues and different genres and not stay in just the talk show
No.
or interview show segment.
Right.
Okay.
So do you know that Lisette is in a movie?
Yes, I did.
Have you
How did I not know? When Lisette does something, she sure is to remind you.
But I have to
Yes.
let you know.
I was told when she got the part. I was told when she started the part. I was told when it was done being filmed. I was told when it's coming out. I got told the day it came out. And yeah,
Well, I had to let you know.
humble.
All right.
That's just like me,
That's all right.
Nah, but yeah, but we did get it on the
Roku.
Roku TV, so that's awesome. So all
Yeah.
you out there want to go see Lord Do It For Me, go over to the Film and Bond
Lord, do it for me
and
on
we go
Roku.
on Roku.
Mm-mm-mm.
But
On was it on the but I forgot because I'm not gonna go to the text, of course. Was it on a specific
yes,
um
it's the Film and Bonds
okay.
network on the Roku TV. Yes.
Okay.
So and then it's on some other sites too. My son Zaki that wrote the movie, he also told us, that it's on some more other sites, but I don't have that with me right now. It's on some more sites, so that's great.
I was just
Networks.
thinking one of the advantages of being married to Lisette is meeting people like you and other folks that I've met. They're so gifted and so talented. It's pretty awesome. I even feel better about myself. You know,
Clarence he is a good butterer.
I
You
know
know that
he
no,
needs
that's how you
this.
it's
marry
true.
him.
He
It's
See,
needs
true.
this.
he's the perfect husband because when you start going out to events, when you ain't in the mood but you have to go, you'll be like, "Come on, Clarence," because I know you'll talk to everybody, and he's a good statesman. He's a good PR person for you. He's got it all down.
Hey, y'all are awesome. Y'all,
That's so
it's awesome.
amazing. I
I
love
will
you.
start
Thank you.
wearing boots. I will start wearing boots when I talk to Clarence, so I can walk through all them.
Well, come on now, come on now. I mean, all that you do. I mean, really, all that you do. That's it's awesome. It really is.
Thank you. I
Ke-
appreciate it.
It really is.
Keoni, for some little young model or someone out there or older model that's interested in going into the field of modeling, what maybe they would like to come to your modeling agency. What should they do?
Well, so first thing I want to clear it up to everybody, it's not an agency. So I just want to make sure we put that out there. It's not an agency, it's a management company, but Avanti Mall and Talent Management. But the one thing I want to make sure people understand, especially because a lot of people that get into acting get it, but a lot of people who get into modeling don't get it. You have to be honest about what type of model you are. Okay. Everybody's not a high fashion model, but commercial modeling is 85% of the industry, and that's what everybody else does. If you're 4'9", 5'2", 150 pounds, you have to understand you're a commercial model. Don't fall for people who tell you you're going to model for Dior or Chanel or
Right.
Right.
it's not going to happen. And then when you point out that one person that was able to do it, you always remember this phrase: when you make a case for an outlier, you've made the case for the majority. Okay. An outlier is an outlier for a reason.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay.
A black person can be president. Yes, that's happened once. Let's not point it out. It's an outlier. Let's
Right.
let's see if it'll happen again.
All
That's right.
right.
That's
And
right.
let's see if it'll happen again after that and
That's
again
right.
after that. And then we'll say it's a thing. But
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That's good.
I like that.
That's good. I mean, because there's a lot of people that maybe have been passionate about modeling and acting, and they just didn't think they could do it, or they didn't know what to do or how to go about doing it. So, but yeah.
One thing
thank
I
you,
noticed.
Antonio Gardner. I'm glad. I keep looking back in the YouTube chat so I can see if someone's saying this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but no one has said that.
One thing I noticed is how people can come in and they're so shy and withdrawn, and,
Mhm.
and you bring that out of them. They just what I'm saying. You make them like you mentioned earlier, like a new
Mhm.
person.
Well, it's the whole. Are you going to be somebody different? People forget. We get people that they want to act in model, and I always tell them, okay, and what else about you? I've had to deal with women who've been violently abused. I've had to deal with children who have no emotional outlet. I've got to deal with people who are in midlife crises. I've had to sometimes people come to us just because they just want to feel better about themselves. But I saw that again, I can't just teach you how to walk down a runway or, um, for instance, me and Lisette,
Mhm.
when we first started working, and then remember, when you were dealing with that contract with for Rock Groove and Jams and
Yes.
singing, and
Yes.
me and you now Lisette has been dealing with contracts way longer than me
Right.
from when because she's been singing for a long time. But I came in at a perspective that was different than her,
Mhm.
Hmm.
on how you should deal with people when it's the first time you're working with them in a contract. And me and her went
That
back
helps.
and forth. But you know what? Eventually it clicked and
Right.
she
Yes.
got it. Because Lisette's not difficult to work with. But if
Yes.
people don't know you,
Right.
if you say certain things or do certain things a certain way, they can think you're difficult to work with because they don't know you.
They don't know
Right.
you. That's
And
right.
she had never looked at it that way. She just looked at it, well, because she knows people will screw you in a contract.
Yes, they will.
So she knew she was, and I was like, hey, Dial it back a little bit.
I had my gun ready. I was ready for.
And so it's that part. And now working with her, but I also did that for myself
Mhm.
selfishly because I knew I wanted to work with her, but I was like, I can't work her with her if it's going to be like this.
Right.
So how can I help her help me, but also help her understand how it can be easier to deal with everybody else? Because the one thing we have to learn how to do in society, whether it's friendship, relationships, family, is we have to learn how to measure intent. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't do that.
Now
Terrence,
that's good.
I might do something for you, Terrence, and it comes out totally wrong and it's
I'm
awful.
experienced, honey.
And but you might say, wait a minute, I don't think that's the way he meant it to come out
Right.
per his intent.
Right.
And I
Right.
don't think we do that enough. We don't
Well,
measure intent.
that's true. And just like my husband's Clarence, and baby, it's all about tact. It's about the way how you say it, the way you say it, how you do it. It's tact.
And
It's just like, for one thing, I remember my father, he was a recording artist, and he said how that, by him being a songwriter, and he had a group, and there was a certain guy in the group that sold his song, you know, to another group and didn't
hmm
let him know.
hmm
And that's one of the reasons why I guess that was he said to me, he said, be careful about contracts and make sure you do what you need to do to look out for yourself. So just like you say, Kiana, you don't know what is inside of people. So you got to make sure, and then sometimes by me being a woman, sometimes people try to uh, take advantage. They think they can take advantage of me,
hmm
but so just like you say, you don't know what's inside of a person, why they behave the way they do, what was
Mhm.
instilled in them. So, and that's why it's you have to get to know people and try to, um, you know,
See, my wife is that person. Like in hate school, she's in class. She'll ask 500 questions.
that's
Mhm.
me.
Some other students won't ask questions. So sometimes you don't learn stuff because they don't ask questions. And sometimes people get annoyed because you ask too many questions as far as they're concerned. But she's
There's
trying
no
to
such thing as a stupid question, only stupid people. But
that's right.
no,
Don't tell
I,
it.
I'm never annoyed at questions. I think what people's annoyance some people, not everybody, is my annoyance always comes from when you've asked me a question I've already answered. Like when you
Mhm.
have four people ask the same question four different ways, and you're like, I've answered that four times now. Can we move on?
Right.
You know, or
Right.
you can say something to somebody and they'll repeat it back to you within 5 seconds, and it's totally opposite of what you just said.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
That's amazing. We have a question. We have a comment. You can speak by Ed Parker. You can speak anything into existence.
Into existence.
Yeah, being positive.
Being positive is part of acting and modeling. I modeling came through as I think it got cut off. But
Okay.
yeah, you got to speak things into existence, and you also have to surround yourself with people who are supportive, but also you have to have not false expectations. A lot of times when I'm coaching, I'll get people that because they paid any type of money, the
Mhm.
success is just supposed to happen without doing anything that I tell them to do.
hmm
They do the opposite of what I tell them to do, and then what doesn't happen, it's my fault. And it's
That's
like, no,
sad.
you did not follow any of the guidelines I gave you and did any of the things that I told you uh, to do. You're never prepared what I've told you to prepare. And how do you expect this dream to happen? Because again, it's a dream.
It's a
It
dream.
also needs to be looked at until you make it as an extracurricular activity. If you want to get into acting and modeling because you want to be rich, you're already going to fail.
Come on now.
That's for
You're
sure.
already going to fail because even rich ones have have other ventures and other jobs and own other businesses. They're not just actors or models, and that's something you got to learn to do.
That's exactly right.
Now, how do you go about relaxing and unwinding when you come from all this wonderful masterpiece you do every day? How do you calm down from all this?
Tequila. No.
I know her.
Yeah, it's a girl.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that I do that's legal and something that I do that isn't. Call of Duty. No, video games and cartoons. It's amazing what cartoons can do for you. And I just watch cartoons; they just make
I'm
you
glad
feel
you said
better. Um, and two, I indulge in a little cannabis, and I'm very open about it. But the biggest reason I do it is medically. Remember, I told you I had a medicine cabinet that looked like
that.
CVS
Yes. Mhm.
because I do that. I'm down to 3 medications instead of 12.
All
Wow.
right now.
Some people
That's
really
why
need it.
that's why it's annoyance the holdup of legalization. It's like, so you rather me take these other 9 medications, put them into my kidney,
Right.
my system,
Right.
when this one thing that I found eliminates all 9 of those.
Come on now.
Now it
Interesting.
doesn't help me with the other 3.
Right.
And if it did, I get rid of those too.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, it's medicine for you and a lot of people. Ed says, "Amen. Your dream has to be fueled by your current job." Cool, for
Well,
sure.
you also have to develop who you are as a character. I mean, I always tell people, what's your character now? Because your character, you can't change it once you start making millions.
Hmm.
How about that?
You don't know what's going to happen. I have a former talent right now. He went from being an extra, making $50 to $300 on a show, to following directions so well, they put him as a reoccurring role, and now he's bounced from $150 to $8,000 to $12,000 a week, depending on how many
Wow,
episodes he shoots.
wow.
That's awesome.
He wasn't expecting that. The first thing he did was hire a financial advisor. He's never had that much money before.
Right.
Hmm.
How do you handle going from making $2,000 a month at your job to making $8,000 a week for 6 weeks of shooting?
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
For some people, that'll be gone 2 months after the shoots are done.
For
So
sure.
you won't need no advisor. The money's gone. There ain't nothing to advise.
It's too late.
Oh, but you said something. You said something about, hi Gail. You said something about I've always been intrigued by how you like cartoons. And if you was able to go to when we go and shoot at our site at your home, you would see all these beautiful
Oh my
figurines.
God. I forgot all about that. So, for those of you, if you go on the channel and you watch My Perspective Monday, because that's the one you're on, we had My Perspective Friday and My Perspective Monday. My Perspective Monday was hosted by you.
Now, here's on
I'm
my
sorry.
perspective Friday.
No,
So
you were
then it
Monday.
went to my perspective Monday.
Then it went to my
You
perspective
you were
Monday.
Monday. No, no, no. You were always My Perspective Monday. We filmed
Right.
it on Fridays.
Right.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, we
Just like
did.
my
We did.
Perspective Friday, we filmed it on Mondays.
Right.
So,
Okay.
if you watch those first episodes, you could see them all sitting together because we used to film them in my living room. I got rid of all of my furniture and
Mm-hmm.
built a studio inside, and they would all sit at that table and green screen, and we had the sound monitor up, the lights, and then I think you're talking about all of my comic statues
Yes.
from Marvel and DC. Yeah, I have about,
Yes.
I think, 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
But
it's crazy.
why comic? What is it about the comic? Um,
It's the reason why I don't like reality TV show that much. It's like cartoons and comics. I want, when I go watch a movie, I don't want what I can see in reality. I go to get away from reality. Why would I want to end my day watching stuff that I've watched happen around me all day? That's why I don't understand somebody who gets home from a long day of work, takes off their shoes, and the first thing they do is turn on Fox News or CNN. It's like that's what you want to get caught up on after a long night of work before you go to bed. No, thank you.
it can
Give
be
me American
depressing.
Dad and Family Guy.
Wow.
It can be depressing. It can.
I sit down and play a few games of chess on my computer.
Hmm.
And I work on my
Post.
1 minute posts. I have 1 minute posts that I inspire people every day to try to uplift and encourage,
I
people.
see it. I get depressed every time because the way Instagram does it, it says Lisette has sent you a message, and when I click, I thought you were talking to me, but you are talking to me, but I thought you were talking to me.
I just want to make somebody else's day happy because it's very important to encourage one another. I have really and thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation with you, Keoni. I'm telling you, you are a great person. And you just, I mean, the way you have, I know you said you asked yourself one time, Lord, what is my purpose? You said we was talking about that one time. And you have, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I remember what happened. It was when I was married. It's when I realized I wasn't happy, so I didn't want to cause my spouse unhappiness because I wasn't happy. So we
Mhm.
separate because I always told you I'm a writing on the wall type of guy. That's why I've got good relations with most of my exes because once the writing's on the wall, I'm like, why don't we split up while we like each other? you know. Um, but it was when I was trying to figure out, and that's why I love the world today because people get mad at labels and we got too many labels. No, we're helping people figure out so they can understand who they are. I
Right.
used to thought I was straight. Then I thought I was a homosexual. Then I thought I was all these things, and I couldn't figure out why my brain was so jumbled. And then I finally figured that out through help. I'm attracted to personalities. I'm pansexual. I'm attracted to personalities. And what's funny is somebody in the little group that we were doing, and we were having these open conversations. I used to go to these open forums where you just talk about anything, and people just talk. And this lady said, "I don't care if you call yourself pansexual or whatever. You're gay and you have no direction."
Okay.
Interesting.
And this 68-year-old man stood up and he turned to me and he said, "Keoni?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Would you consider yourself gay?" At the time, I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Is that an orientation?" He goes, "Yeah, that's an." I said, "Yeah, that's an orientation." He goes, "Well, if you have an orientation, then you have a direction." And he just looked at her. And I was like, "Oh, I'm stealing that."
How about that?
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Pretty sharp, wasn't he?
He was sharp, wasn't he?
Wow.
Yeah, it is so funny because when he stood up, and it was so like, I hate to sound cheesy. It was like angelic, like
Mm-hmm.
Right.
it's like in those movies where something stops and the music in the background changes.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of
Yeah.
like that kind of scene. And he stood up and he just said it so effortlessly, as if he'd been waiting all day to say that
All
sentence,
day to say it.
you know. And I
But
was
it
just like,
shines some light on you on the situation. That amazes me. Um, it amazes me when everybody comes to like a point in their life where they're wondering which way do I go? What I need to do here, and they have somebody to shine that light on this situation to just illuminate the process to give you that hope on what you need to do. That's
you
powerful.
know what helps with that, Lisette?
Yes.
Because you had that moment when you got out of the past relationships
Yes.
before you found the new one. And so you'll relate to this. You have to get out of the why me phase.
There you go.
Once you get out of the why me, and I'm not meaning that derogatory. I make the whiny voice because that's what it sounds like it in the head. Why
Hmm.
me? Why me? Why me? I had to remember why me because I chose everything mostly as an adult. Now, I'm not talking about what happened to me as a kid. A
Right.
lot of
Right.
that stuff is out of your control. But as an adult, everything that happened to me, most of it I chose.
You
Come on
chose it.
now.
That's a
Whether
good
it's
point.
relationships, business partnerships, friendships,
Yes.
I let that person or entity in. So even though they did the wrong thing, it's not 100% their fault,
That's
That's
true.
right.
you
Now that's
know?
the truth about that now. Now that is the truth. Can I get some amen over there in the chat section?
Amen.
Antonio says, what he say, truly have inspired. I can't read that word.
Inspiring me.
Where's
Truly
my
have
glasses?
inspired me. WNY podcast, thank you. Where's
Thank
my
you,
podcast?
Antonio. Thank
Is that
you.
Antonia? That's Antonia.
Antonia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Antonia.
Antonia.
not
Okay,
Antonio.
Antonia.
Do
All
you
right.
know Antonia?
Of course we do.
Oh, okay. You,
Mm.
you get a pass because I called him Terrence this morning, and I don't know why.
That's okay. That's okay.
We have a Terrence in our family,
We do.
and he always encourages me. I don't know if you're listening out there, Terrence, but he encourages me. He comes home and he wants to show all my videos. He wants to talk about my video. And I'm saying like, wow, because some family, after a while you get familiar to your family, get familiar, that's just Lisette. That's my nickname is Pumpkin. That's just Pumpkin. But he's like, oh wow, Aunt Lisette. I mean, I'm his cousin.
Well,
That's
that's why we got to get these different guests on here and not me because it will spark that interest. But everybody out there, fun thing is once we make our last 200 hours of watch content and we get to our money making mark, the first big event we're going to do is a Keoni Productions marathon where every show for 24 hours is going to come on live and we'll have guests and fun things. You'll be able to tune in and tune out all day. And the good thing is it allows you to support the channel. Um, Listen, it ain't got to be $1 million. It ain't got to be 100. It ain't got to be 10. We take $1 or two.
All right now. That's awesome.
yes.
Every little bit counts.
And we're excited about that. It's been a long process. Things
Yeah,
that
because
you
I
like
want to get back to
more than
filming
me.
you in studio. I want to get back to doing these in studio and not everybody back at their house. So my goal is to hopefully get back to that.
I would love to do that. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I was feeling like I was Oprah. Oprah. You know.
No, actually, but I can't wait to do the blooper reel because Clarence was there. I'm so glad that we actually did it that way first. Because how many times did I have to pause the recording and say, "Wait, Lisette, that's not factually accurate. You can't just say that."
Can't
Oh,
say that.
You,
a
you
lot
used
of
to just
times.
say, stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not. You can't just say that.
We did some. Well, you know what? Do you remember that time when it's just amazing when I would tell you about some of my adventures, and I would just go off,
Mhm.
about some of my adventures. You look. Did I tell you about the time you was not there when we had that thunderstorm? Did you? You had to go work in
Right.
what's that, Guilford County?
Yeah.
And left me here all by myself. How
Yeah.
could you
Yeah.
do it?
Oh, how dare you go work?
Or
How
not that.
dare you go and
Try to
work
try to make money.
and leave poor old me here all alone?
You
But
remember
anyway,
that dress you bought 2 weeks after?
Exactly. Come on now.
and thank God you went because we really had a whole lot of money when you came. Don't pay any attention to my foolishness, y'all. Look, we want to thank y'all for being on the show. Kiana, do you have any more wonderful things to tell us before we clock off?
I think I ran my mouth enough. Don't you think? They hear me
Not
enough
really.
every on the Mondays when we do the shows.
I'm really enjoying the conversation. I really don't want to cut it off, to be honest with
Well,
you.
let me just say before I go,
Hmm.
the best
Where are
time
you
and
going?
I'm gonna walk over there in a few minutes.
He gonna
Once
play
we
his
finish.
chest there.
Wait, Clarence, do you play that? You just play computer chess? You don't play like
He's
where you can
good.
play other people
No,
online?
I don't.
He's good though.
I don't.
He's good.
And I shock myself sometimes the moves I just miss nowadays that I used to see. I'm getting older. I don't see like I used to see. So,
Mhm.
but anyhow,
He's good. Don't pay any attention. Don't listen.
let me just say the time and energy that's spent helping other people is so well spent. That is so awesome. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to know you and to be just a small part of you devoting that time and energy to help people, bring them out of the shell sometimes that they're in and so forth. I think that's pretty awesome. And we thank you for all that you do.
I appreciate you.
We
I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
those words. You're trying to get me teary eyed. It ain't gonna work. I sucked them back in.
I
But it's true.
think it's important. One of the problems sometimes in this world is people see awesome people, but they won't just look at somebody and say, "You're awesome."
No, we wait till they die and then we tell the stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, then we tell the stories, which don't
Exactly.
matter then because We've all seen bad people who die, and everybody has nothing but nice things to say about
Exactly
them.
right. So I'll say, you're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
it. I will non-humbly smile and accept it.
welcome.
And what words do you have to say before we sign off, Keoni?
Bye.
Well, let me just say this one thing right here. Thank you for all that you have done to bring me out. I mean, this whole me doing this, I would have never have thought in years that I would be doing this right here. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And you have taught me so very much. And I really appreciate all that you do and your friendship. And you're
And
amazing.
look at the guests you've interviewed. You probably never thought you would get to interview all these people on a
That's
yeah.
right.
I really did. And thank you.
And we also would like to thank Gail and Tony
And
and
Ed
Ed.
Parker and Dennis Parker and Ed Parker
Yep.
and Gail and all the other ones that's watching that didn't be a part of the chat and all even those on the replay. Thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for listening.
Oh, before we leave, I want to ask you, who's been your favorite guest the entire time since you've been doing this show?
I was going to ask you that. How
Well,
you managed to ask me before I asked
because I'm a better host.
you? I'll say you. You've been my
Wow.
favorite guest.
The correct answer should have been Clarence.
Hey,
Oh man, I'll get it.